I don't know. At least with Face Connect, we're so back. I don't know about the greater VTubing sphere, but I think just like sitting down and talking to management about all my fears and anxieties and doomerisms in general. I feel like I never talked to management about that in general because I don't want to say I've always had like one foot out the door or whatever, but like I've also kind of always like been in the mindset of like I do need to be prepared for at any moment things to go terribly and to have like you should always have like something of a backup plan, but I was like constantly being aware of like what my backup plan should be. And I guess I'd always kept that mindset from like the first year of Face Connect when things were kind of shit. I have to plan but don't think on it 24/7. I was always like, oh, okay, well this is where like the current market is at, so here's like what I would need to do. Pivot if I needed to, I guess. Good to have backup, not good to be constantly worried. You don't have to live in the bunker, exactly. Yeah, I guess I just kind of always held on to that mindset since year one of Face Connect, when everything was dog shit and when I was like prepping to leave. My first year of Face Connect, I was fully ready to leave. The first year was like, I don't mean to like rub salt in the wound, but like God, it was dog shit. So bad. It was miserable. The first year of Face Connect was so miserable. Like I had things that I liked. I had things that I hoped for. From like the talent perspective, it was like I didn't get along with management like at all. Like Gen 1 has never like Gen 1's made up of introverts. You know, like nobody in Gen 1 is like collabing all the time. Nobody in Gen 1 is like playing on VTuber servers all the time. Like it's not like I went into Face Connect with the hopes of like the level of I guess like cohesion as like Hololive. And part of why like Hololive feels so cohesive is that like first of all, like all of their talents are able to do Hololive like full time, right? And then second of all, they have so many more talents. And then third of all, like Japanese culture is different from Western culture. But so like I went into Face Connect like even my application, I was like I want like another Hololive. You know, like I want this to be like Hololive. And it wasn't like that. So I was like kind of not like upset at my coworkers, but upset at like just the situation in general. You know, I guess like that made me more like I was a bit more like we didn't have like a strong bond then. We hadn't endured everything together yet because we were still just enduring everything while not really knowing each other. So I was like, yeah. I think my best memories from year one to Face Connect were the things that I still cherish most about Face Connect. Things like we had like that off-Kai appearance. That was fantastic. Just a small little table with our shitty oversized acrylic standee faces and that little booth, and I like trolled Twitter reacting to everybody's time at the convention and everything, and attendees of off-Kai like put me on the TV or whatever in one of the panel rooms, I think they said. And the meet and greets, it was the first time I'd ever done a meet and greet, so of course I was like, oh my god, like best thing ever. Community, I did like the community, but I also I guess did feel like a little bit more disconnected from the community because like I can't go like too into things, right? But it's like, oh, like going into Corpo Sphere, I guess like I didn't anticipate like some of the restrictions. Oh, I enjoyed the karaoke night. There was a thing where there was a Discord karaoke night and the talents would sit in the call and viewers did a karaoke. That was fun. I just sat and listened in. But in general with the community, like it was so much smaller than it is now, and it still was dedicated and passionate. I felt like because I wasn't really getting to do everything that I wanted to do, that at times it was like I didn't feel like I was complete as a person, so I didn't feel like my audience could completely care about me. So I didn't feel like I could completely, like that sounds so bad, I'm not even gonna finish that, but like I couldn't be like completely attached to an audience that I didn't feel like would stay attached to me. You know, I don't hate you guys, but it was like you were there for year one, like you know of like it was so like restricted. It was so much more The atmosphere was so much heavier. And maybe I'm the only one that interpreted it like that, but I always felt like there was so much stupid shit. Like, you couldn't say the name of countries, right? And it's like, I remember there's one stream that I remember very fondly where it was into my Pokemon Sword playthrough, where I just like, I snapped and I ranted about how much I hated Nintendo and how much I hated Pokemon in its current state. And that was like the first time that I felt like I wasn't like having to put on like an act, or I wasn't having to like heavily self-censor. And so it felt so good. I was like, yes! I hate Nintendo. I don't care if I get fired. And I did have that mindset of like, oh man, like because like I don't know how to convey this to you guys, but everything, it was like, and this is like an atmosphere I see in so many new VTuber companies, and I'm like, God, I feel for you guys. Where it's like, it feels like, oh, you can't say anything bad about any company because that's like a potential sponsor, and that will like create like a bad atmosphere, and that's just like, that's not like what idols do or whatever. And I'm sitting there like, really? I'm not allowed to fucking shit talk Nintendo? Like, I'm not allowed to like complain about any of these fucking companies? And now I know like I take it too far. I take it like way too far, like having a fucking mental breakdown about the computer companies and stuff. I know I've been heroin crazy, but I was going insane. I was going fucking insane. I was going so insane, chat. There's probably even more like little nitpicks I don't remember, but there was stuff like I wasn't allowed to play games that were like based on history or like had like historical elements, like stuff like I wanted to do wargaming. I was like, this will be like, I'm gonna debut and I'm gonna get into wargaming. Wouldn't that be so cool? And then it was like, because I wasn't into wargaming or anything, but yeah, like Civ, like absolutely Civ would not have been okay back in the day. And it's not that like it would have been really enforced. It was just, I was always asking permission for these things. And this is how I eventually learned, like, it is better to ask forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. I still do ask permission on a lot of things, but in general, if I'm kind of like, about something, like, it's reasonable to ask permission, I'll ask permission. But, like, back in the day, it's like, if I asked to play Civ, it would have been an absolute no, because they would have been like, oh, like, well, tell us what Civ is. And I'd be like, okay, well, it's a game where you control a country and you like conquer other countries. And then the next question would have been like, well, are these real countries? And I would have been like, yeah. And they would have been like, no, that could offend people. And I remember Talons having to take down their thumbnails, or having to like take down certain stuff because it could like even like allude to like certain historical things and stuff. And it's like, oh my god, this shit sucks. I know I like focus so much on like the not being allowed to talk about countries thing, but like, do you guys understand how much that limits what you can talk about? How much it limits like games that you can play? I had to call one of the first games I played was World of Tanks Blitz, and I had to call the countries as they popped up by different names because I wasn't allowed to call them by the countries that were listed on them. I was like a special, they gave me like a reluctant, okay, go ahead. Yeah, Kyrgyzstan, this is the power of Kyrgyzstan. Like, I was fucking losing my mind. I feel like what made it so difficult for me is like they would ask me, right? Like, oh, like with this game or with this idea, like, is there anything that can go wrong with it, basically? And I would be honest about it, of like, oh yeah, well, like this game has nudity in it or whatever, and it'd be like, no.
Mwah! Mwah! Okay, get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, bye-bye.